I'm Beverly Enos, and you're watching Spotlight Georgetown. Thank you for joining us today. This is part of your local cable TV station. You can find us for Spotlight Georgetown on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. And as part of your station, you get to come down and play here. So if you'd like to be interviewed, if you'd like to volunteer a friend to be interviewed, that's always a fun thing. If you'd like to come down and learn how to use some of the equipment, they have anything imaginable for cameras and computers and all kinds of equipment, and would love to have you down here to join us. Now today we're talking to Eric Clemenzi, and we're talking about his music store here in Georgetown, and he's kind of a new face, or a new face to me. So welcome, it's nice
Thanks.
to have you here. Now, where are you actually from?
I grew up in Byfield.
Oh, so you're a local kid.
I am, yep. And then I, after I got married and moved to Haverhill, and that's where my studio was up until 2014. So I taught there from about 2004 to 2014, and decided we're gonna move it over this way.
And
so
you have a family locally?
yes.
And
Yep.
they are?
My wife Amanda, and I have a son Xavier and a daughter Olivia.
Oh, good.
And yep, and yeah.
Did they play any type of instrument?
Not right now. My wife does. She's a clarinetist and a saxophonist, but my kids, we have instruments everywhere.
They're still little?
Yeah, so I mean, we have instruments all over the house, and sometimes they pick up the drums or the microphones.
I was just going to say, the first thing they do is they pick up drums.
Oh yeah, it's great.
Like any little kid.
Absolutely, I love it. So yeah.
Now, how did you start playing the guitar?
So the inspiration for me picking up the guitar was actually watching The Monkees, the TV show from the 60s, right?
Okay,
And,
earlier I said you were young. Now you're aging yourself a little bit.
Well,
You remember the Monkees at least.
Well, this is when I was a kid and it was on TV. And
Hey, we're the Monkees.
Yep, exactly. And I was like, wow, that looks really cool. And I just said, hey, I'd like to try the guitar. Everyone at the time, I was in 3rd grade, and everyone was picking up saxophone and clarinet and flute, and I was like,
because that's what they taught at the schools.
Right, exactly. But I was like, nah, I got to play the guitar. That's definitely my instrument. So, and then, yeah, I've been doing it ever since.
Yeah. Now, funny, just a little aside, I remember when the Monkees first came to be, they weren't even a real band.
Right.
They were put together just for that television show. And then all of a sudden they were such a huge hit that people started going to see the Monkees.
Right, yeah.
And it went on from there. Did you ever play other instruments?
Nope.
Guitar is it?
This is it. Yeah, I mean, I play the bass guitar as well, but and when I was at Berklee College of Music, I was a music education major there, so we were required to play like trombone, trumpet, clarinet, violin, piano. But when you got done with the semester of one of those instruments, I never saw it again because I just
it was just another course.
Yeah, I had, we had to do it for our for the curriculum at the school. So, but this has always been my first instrument. And,
okay, so we're going to bounce around a little
Sure.
bit. Berklee, how
Yep.
did you decide on going there?
Well,
How did you get in? That's a really
believe it or
tough
not,
school to get in.
in the 90s when I went, it was actually a pretty easy school to get into. Should I say all this stuff?
Sure.
No, but yeah, there was actually no entrance audition required at the time. You could just basically you got a letter of recommendation from your teacher, fill out an application. If they liked it, you were in.
Okay.
But it was always the case where Berklee, it was at the time it was easy to get into, difficult to stay there, kind of thing. Just because
You could get in, but you had to have real talent to get through.
Yeah, or you just have to work really hard, that kind of thing. So, but yeah, I went to one of their summer camps, and I was like, wow, this place is great, and that's why I decided to go there. And because it's a contemporary music school, you could study any style. If you wanted to go to pretty much any other college, it would either be jazz or classical. But I could be in the progressive rock group there, or I could be in a jazz group there, or I could be in a country group, and they offer it all. So it was really a
Did they
nice.
still do that?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I have 2 Singapore granddaughters, we call them, that are at Northeastern, and I always have to drive through Berklee or to get to where they are. And you see the kids walking around with all kinds of instruments, sometimes 2 or 3.
Oh yeah.
Under each arm and going. So Now, is it more difficult to get in there now?
It is, yeah. It's, Berkeley has just blown up over the past, few years, and it's much more difficult. There's an audition process and everything, so it's quite a bit more challenging. But yeah,
So your degree is in music education?
Kind of, yeah. Basically what happened was, as I was finishing my degree, I started teaching guitar when I was about 15 or 16, and through Berkeley I was teaching. I would come home on weekends and teach, and I had a job at a local teaching studio, and I was just about to get into my last 2 semesters where you had to student teach and you had to observe. And I was like, I don't want to do this, because I just wanted to teach the guitar. I didn't want to go into a public school classroom and teach music. That wasn't my thing.
Okay.
Teaching guitar, that's where I was at.
You didn't want to be the Mr. Dosty.
So yeah, and I was just like, how can I get out of here? So fortunately, Berkeley offers what's called a professional music program, and basically they took all my credits. And because the music ed major is so huge, you have tons and tons of requirements, not only for Berkeley but also for the state, to get a
teaching certificate.
Exactly.
Right?
So by the time I was like, I need to get out of here because I just want to go and do my thing, I had enough credits to graduate as is in a different major. So I'm basically short 2 classes for a regular teaching degree, but that's fine with me. So I have, I still have my degree.
You've got a degree, and you get to play music.
Right, exactly. And I get to teach guitar, which is really my primary focus. So.
Now, what ages do you teach?
I've taught everyone from 5 or 6 years old. Probably my oldest current student right now is in his 80s. So,
really?
So I mean, I teach just a huge range of people.
Do people pick it up often when they retire? When
Oh,
you
yeah.
say an 80-year-old. So
absolutely.
They pick it up when they retire. Mm-hmm. I've always wanted to learn to play the guitar, and
Yep.
now is my turn.
There you go.
Wow.
Yep. And it's great, and it gives them something different to focus on, and and I have a lot of players who are retired who just decide, hey, I got to pick up the guitar and do this because I need something to do, it's good.
Now, for the size of the instrument,
Mm-hmm.
I had an exchange student from Japan, and
Mm-hmm.
when she came to visit one time, she had 2 little girls, and we had to go down to Berkeley,
Mm-hmm.
down to one of the music stores there to get a violin that was about that big,
Mm-hmm.
because the little girl was probably 3 or 4.
Sure.
And being a little Asian girl, she was a tiny little. She's
Sure.
now one of the ones at Northeastern.
Oh, cool.
Do they have different size guitars for young children?
Yep. Yeah, I mean,
Really?
you can get down, the normal sizes are half size, 3/4, and then full size. So, my son, who's 6, he's just big enough to maybe use a 3/4, but for the longest time, I just had a little half size for him, and he could fit his arms around that.
Now,
so.
where would people get something like that? I mean, you just don't want. In fact, where do people get guitars at all, other than from you, obviously?
Yeah, I mean,
You sell them?
I order all different types of instruments for people. If they come in and say, hey, we need this, I can just call up a company and order it
Okay,
for
so
them.
they don't have to be in classes necessarily to still get a guitar from
Nope, not at all. You can just, give me a call, say, hey, I'm looking for an instrument. We'll set up an appointment. You can come down and I'll find you the right instrument.
you. Oh, that's neat. That's neat. Now, we've gone through a whole bunch of these questions. There's something called Guitar for Everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, music drives us and Guitar for Everyone.
Yep.
You're participating in that. What is that, and how did that come into your life?
Well, I'll start with Music Drives Us because I've been doing that the longest. So a few years ago, this might have been, 4 or 5 years ago now, I found out about Music Drives Us, and it's run by Ernie Bach Jr.,
Oh, yeah.
come on down, the famous car guy. And
He and his band play at the Topsfield Fair almost every single year.
yeah, Ernie and the Automatics, yep. And so I found out about the charity, and I've been selling instruments for a long time, and one year I had an extra instrument around Christmas time, and I was like, you know what? Let me see if I can find a place to donate this so we can, so someone who needs a guitar and can't afford one can get one. So I contacted them, and they're like, hey, we really want to talk to you. So we just sat down, we got together one day and sat down, and slowly we kind of just built up a relationship where, I was helping them with the instruments, and going to different programs and teaching group classes, just small little things here and there. And eventually it's grown into what I do now is I help them source their instruments that they donate. So because I get direct sales from manufacturers,
Okay.
I can get them a much better deal than if they went down to the local, like, the big box retailers.
Right.
And then, and then I set them all up and make sure they play well, and then we deliver them, and then, the schools end up with instruments, that they can use for their programs.
Oh,
So
wow. And that's Music Drives Us.
Music Drives Us, yep.
Now, what is Guitar for Everyone?
So, Guitar for Everyone is a nonprofit that actually one of my students' parents approached me about. She said, hey, I want to really start a music nonprofit. Do you have any ideas? And I said, of course. So her name's Julia Elliott, and I said, well, you know what? I really, and this is what I feel, I think everyone should play the guitar because it makes your life better. You sit down, you can be by yourself and you can play a song, or you can play with friends. And so we, there was a grant cycle open for Music Drives Us, and we submitted a proposal, and they accepted the proposal. And basically we ended up getting 10 guitars from Music Drives Us, and we got some money to start doing classes. And what we've done with the classes is we're working with veterans. So we're in 2 different locations right now. We're at the Veterans Center, Northeast Veterans Outreach in Haverhill, and then the Northeast Veterans Outreach in Marlborough. And what we do is I go in, the Haverhill, we go in once a week, and I do an hour lesson with veterans. And they don't even have to have a guitar. We bring the guitars for them. They get to bring them home. They get to practice with them. And more recently, we started the one in Marlborough. Marlborough's a hike from here.
Yeah.
So we go every other week, and we're working with some Vietnam vets down there, and it's awesome. I was actually just there about 2 hours ago, and we just had so much fun. We were doing like a blues jam, and we were just singing and playing, and this was their 4th lesson, and we were just I always try to find ways that everyone can play. Even
if it's just a chord and a strum.
Exactly. Even if they're just playing one note, and we got everyone got to learn to solo on one string. So I gave them 3 notes, and we're playing a blues, and we just had a blast. And actually, we recorded it today. So at some point maybe we'll put it on the website. We wrote a little song, and just had fun. So yeah, so it's a blast.
Now, a lot of these vets, did they play guitars when they were younger and they're coming back to it, or are these just brand spanking new students?
For the most part, like in both groups, like the Haverhill and the Marlborough, we've got a couple people who have been either wanting to play for a long time, maybe 1 or 2 people who've played a little bit but needed help.
Yeah.
And then some of these guys are just fresh, like they've never played before, but they're like, we want to do something together. And so we're doing that. So it's a lot of fun.
Talking about Vietnam vets, those are the days that I was in high school and college, and that's when I played the guitar. So it was very popular back then, but it was pretty much folk music
Sure.
and things like that at that time. Guitar donation to Triton Regional High School. You did that too.
Yep.
You do all kinds of fun things donating guitars.
Yeah, I mean, if I always feel like if there's a way to get instruments to people that need them, then like we'll figure it out, and because I work closely with a lot of these manufacturers, sometimes a great deal comes around and I say, you know what, this school needs guitars, maybe they can't wait for a grant to come in. And that's what happened with Triton. I teach a lot of kids from Triton, and one of the parents said, hey, Triton is in real need of guitars, who can we get to help us get guitars? Should we go try to get a grant? And sometimes grants they're not a sure thing. You might wait, and it turns out the money's not there or whatever. And so I was like, well, one of my companies that I work with had a great deal, so I was like, well, why don't I just donate them? And that way you guys have your guitars, and why wait? You need guitars, I can get them for you. Let's just do it.
Not a bad deal, especially for the kids.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, like the way that I look at music is it's a way to like keep you away from bad stuff, like so, it's occupied my life for 30 years.
Yeah.
And I see no end in sight. So, why not try to at least spread that around a little bit more,
Now, for people that want to get in touch with you, you have a website.
Yep.
Which is?
It's just ericclemenzi.com.
Okay.
Yep.
And email address is?
eric@ericclemenzi.com.
Okay. And a phone number for the store?
978-350-3520-JAM, J-A-M.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So,
So-
we get that part of the
Yep,
business out
sure.
of the way. What are the hours that you have at the store?
Um,
Obviously, they change because you're doing all these other things and going into different locations. But
yeah, usually I teach lessons from about 2:30 in the afternoon, and then I just teach until people don't show up.
Okay.
So,
after,
usually
after school
after
on.
school until like 10 or 11 o'clock at night.
But if people
Yeah.
wanted to come and talk to you during the day or take a lesson
Yep.
during the day, that
Yeah,
would
just
be a
give-
possibility.
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of stuff. I mean, depending on the day of the week, I'm there. Some mornings, and but yeah, pretty much every day. And Saturday, I try to stay away on Sunday so I can see my family. So
Yeah, that would be a nice thing.
yeah,
Do you play in any groups or bands?
yeah. My main group is a group called Kangaralien, and
Kangaralien?
Kangaralien, yep.
Okay.
And actually, it's with a Georgetown native. Steve Belleville, he's he's a really good friend of mine, and we've been playing together since 1999, and we've had this group since about 2005. We've done
Now, where
the
we-
albums. Oh, the albums are right there.
Okay.
We've done 4 albums, and our 5th is going to be released sometime in the next few months.
Now, where
So-
do people get to see you play live?
Well, that's a good question.
I mean, I understand that it changes, but
Yeah, but well, right now, Steve, as of April 2016, is that where we are? He's in China,
Okay.
and he has a gig in China.
Oh, wow.
he will be there through the end of June, and so eventually we're going to start playing gigs again once he's in this, on this continent.
so they'd be on your website.
Yeah, and we usually, put it on our Facebook and stuff like that.
Okay, so
yeah.
you do have a Facebook.
Yep.
And I mean, what types of places do you play?
Ice cream parlors, like libraries,
Okay.
farms. Yeah, we play weird random places because we don't like playing in bar rooms. It's not. We
not
have
your
zero.
style.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
just not interested. We want to play places that are fun, where we can play the music we want to play, and the music we play is instrumental. So there's no, there's no lyrics, and we don't
So
really.
there's no language issue.
Yeah, and we just want to play our music. So we play farmers markets. We do the one in Haverhill, we do the one in Newburyport, and those are fun because we get to play what we want. People sometimes stop and listen, and and it's good. So that's our primary focus is play what we want. Be very
Okay.
selfish about our music. So
What's your favorite kind of music,
um,
other than what you write?
I mean, I play and listen to every style that I can get my hands on. So I mean, do I have my favorites? Sure, but I'm just as apt
You're
to
not a
listen.
primarily country music player, or
Right, I
classical
mean-
music player, or
Sure, but I like all of it. So yeah, I mean, I have just as many country records in my collection as I do rock and roll records and classical and jazz, and I really don't have one thing that I do.
what type do you actually play yourself?
All of the above. I mean, because again, as a teacher, I have to be able to play anything that comes through the door. So if a kid comes in and says, "Hey, I got to learn the new AC/DC song," I'm like, "All right, cool." Or or the new Taylor Swift song. I have to be able to do both. Or anything that comes through. If someone wants to learn a jazz song, I have to be able to play that as well. So
So a little bit of everything.
yeah, absolutely, and it keeps it interesting.
The guitar you're playing now.
Yep.
Can you tell us about it?
Sure. This is my main instrument for my group,
It's
Kangaralien.
8 strings.
It's 8 strings, yeah. So this was built by a guy named Chris Stambaugh. He's up in the Lakes region. He's built 4 guitars for me through the years. This is my 3rd 8-string that he's built, but it's the other 2 8-strings I have are electric, and this one's acoustic. And it's one of the only 8-string steel string guitars I've ever seen. I think I saw
I've
one
never
on the
seen
internet.
One before.
Yeah, so this one is, well, in this case right now it's tuned, you can still play all your normal stuff. And for the
Okay.
song I'm going to play later, it's in drop D. But it also has an extra, 2 extra low strings.
Okay, so that's what makes it different.
Yep.
I mean, a lot of people get used to seeing 6 strings or 12 strings.
Right, sure.
But I've never seen an 8-string before.
Yeah, this allows us to add like different bass lines that we wouldn't normally be able to play. So if I want to play like a G chord, I can play a really low bass and sound like a bass guitar.
So it's almost like having two guitars.
Kind of. I mean,
you've got the opportunity to have bass, but
right,
you still have the regular guitar strings.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, so you can do a lot of different stuff, and it gives you just different options. And I will always just I like to have those things. And this, it's got. I just actually added this funny thing. It's a bender.
Okay.
You can do all sorts of fun. So yeah, and then it puts your guitar out of tune, and you have to retune it. So
that's the old Chinese proverb. Tuning.
There we go. So yeah, so that's this one.
Now, how many guitars do you own that you actually play yourself?
I don't know. I didn't take a count before I left today. So, but I mean,
in general, you have 4 or 5 favorites, or 10 favorites?
Yeah, somewhere between 5 and 10.
Okay.
But you know, for the most part, you know, I play this one a lot, and then I have another one that I use when I do I sing at a lot of libraries for preschoolers and stuff like that. So I'll bring it. I don't bring an 8-string to do those gigs.
Okay.
So
do you always play steel strings?
For the most part, I used to play a lot of nylon string and classical guitar, but not so much anymore. I like these. I like this better.
Tougher on your fingers.
It is, but I like the sound of it.
I remember building up the calluses.
Yep, exactly.
So, before we let you play,
Sure.
What is the best part of playing the guitar?
That's a tough one, but I think probably the best part is just having something that is you. You know, this is part of who I am, and you know, it doesn't. You know, it's always a way to make you feel better. I can't tell you how many times I've gone, you know, maybe a lot of stress, and then I go in and I just sing a bunch of songs for preschoolers, and then you forget about everything like that was bugging you, you know, that kind of thing. It's a great stress reliever, and you get to make a statement of who you are, and it doesn't matter if anyone likes your statement. That's why Kangaralian exists, is because we want to make the music we want to make, and it's our statement. And we don't care if we sell a single copy of our album. We just want to make music, you know. And I think that's the magic part, because it's a way for you to express yourself, and there's, you know, and you're never alone if you got a guitar, you know.
True.
Because you can always make some sound, you
True.
know.
Now, what is the best part of teaching?
I think it's just trying to help people reach their goals, and, you know, self-esteem, and realize that, you know, maybe learning the guitar is a way to help you in other parts of your life. So, you know, again, it could be self-esteem, it could be just making you feel great, you know, it could be, again, a way to relieve stress. And that, you know, that's really
Learning
important.
something new after retirement.
Yeah,
Anything.
yeah, you know, there's just so many benefits, and you know, the thing that, you know, when I teach, you know, I don't expect everyone to go out and become a professional musician. What I want them to be is happy playing the guitar, you know. And it's like that's the cool part about playing the guitar, I think, or any instrument, that is, if it gives you enjoyment, and then it's great when someone else gets enjoyment from it too.
Mm-hmm. When I was telling you earlier, when I moved to Georgetown when I was a junior in high school,
Mm-hmm.
the only friends that I ever made were the kids that we played guitar together.
Sure.
So it
Yep.
brings people together.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. It's amazing, you know, if you're, you know, wearing a shirt that has a guitar on it, or what, you know, whatever, and you just run into some random person, all of a sudden you can strike up a conversation like that. Oh, do you play guitar? And you know, and it turns into like you've known that person a long time, because it turns out they like the same band as you, or what. Yeah, it's a great way to just communicate with people and kind of feel like, you know, oh, well, we're kind of on the same page, you know.
So people that would like to have you come and play for their school or their library, whatever it is, can get hold of you on the website
Yep.
or your email.
Yep.
What about getting hold of your music? How does that happen?
I have a different website for that. It's basementtapesrecords.com. It's just a site that I, you know, had put together for selling this stuff, but it's, you know, a lot of it's available on iTunes and stuff like that. But and we sell it, of course, at gigs as well. So, but yeah, or you can just come by the shop and say hi, and, you know, that kind of thing, and grab a copy there.
Can you tell us about the project that you're doing with Pat Badger?
Yeah, this is so Pat Badger is the bass player for the band Extreme, you know, very well-known Boston band, and yeah, I connected with him. I ran into him at the hardware store.
Okay.
And you know, we just started talking, and a little while after that, we started playing together. And just a couple months back, he's like, "Hey, Eric, I need an extra song for my new album." I'm like, "Oh, okay," because I've listened to Extreme since I was like 15, and
So you have your song on his album.
yeah. So basically, he and I co-wrote a song together, and it's on his new album. And we just finished recording some stuff, so I'm going to be on a bunch of tracks on his new album, and so it's really pretty cool. So.
Amazing what music does for your life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you found something that you love,
Mm-hmm.
and you made it your life.
It's true. Yes.
Would you like to share it with us, please?
Sure. Yeah. So this is a song. This is off of our Ice Cream album. This is a tune that while Steve was in China, we wrote this album we call the Ice Cream album, and he said, "I want something that sounds kind of vanilla."
Okay.
And so I tried to come up with that. So this started as a solo song, and when we play it together, he adds his part to it. But I can play it just on one guitar here. So I'll play it for you. So this is called Vanilla.
Thank you very much
Thank you.
for sharing.
Thanks.
Sharing music, your guitar,
Thanks.
and your story.
Thank you. Thanks
you
for having
very
me.
Much. I'm Beverly Enos. You're watching Spotlight Georgetown, Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays, 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Thank you for joining us today. Bye for now.